A very warm welcome to you, dear listener, as you settle in and choose to spend this quiet interlude with us. It is a true pleasure to share this time and indeed this rather special place with you. We are so glad you're here. The purpose of this particular audiobook novel, Gardens Woven from Quietude, is a simple yet earnest one: to offer a gentle pathway to peacefulness, a soft melody for the mind that might, with good fortune, help you to drift into a comfortable and restorative sleep. Within these gardens, where flowers are born of peaceful thoughts and the very air hums with contentment, we hope you will find a sanctuary, a place where the day's cares may soften and fade, much like the gentle light of the lumina flora we shall soon encounter. Before you set your device aside and allow yourself to fully unwind, if you find a measure of peace and enjoyment in our storytelling, we would be ever so grateful if you might consider liking this sharing and perhaps subscribing to our channel. It helps others who may also be seeking a quiet moment to find their way here. And now let us gently push open the unseen gate to the gardens, where the path unfolds with the softest of invitations. Chapter 1: The Unfolding Path. It began, as such gentle journeys often do, not with a map or a clear destination, but with an almost imperceptible pull, a quiet tugging at the edges of awareness, like the faintest scent of an unknown wondrous flower carried on a breeze from a land unseen. The traveler, whose name is not important for it as their experience we share, had been wandering, not with urgency, but with a certain undefined longing for a place where the world's many noises might soften into a soothing hum. And so, following this tender inner compass, they found themselves before what seemed less an entrance and more a gentle parting in the fabric of the usual, a place where the light itself seemed to beckon with a soft, welcoming hand. Before them, a curtain of softly falling leaves in hues of pale sage and delicate apricot descended in a slow, unending cascade. Yet, curiously, these leaves never quite reached the ground, dissolving instead into faint, shimmering motes just above the earth. It was a doorway made of perpetual autumn, yet holding no chill, only a sense of peaceful transition. Pushing through this soft, rustling veil, which parted with a sound like a sigh of contentment, the traveler stepped into a realm bathed in a diffuse, warm radiance. It was not the stark light of a common sun, but rather an illumination that seemed to emanate from the very air itself, a hazy, honey-toned glow that softened all outlines and imbued every visible thing with a gentle, dreamlike quality, as if viewed through the clearest, warmest water. The first sounds to greet the traveler were so subtle they might have been imagined, the almost inaudible chime of distant sleeping bells, a delicate crystalline tinkling that seemed to vibrate in the air rather than travel through it. This gentle carillon was carried not on any discernible breeze, for the air here was profoundly still, yet it felt alive, imbued with a soft, nurturing breath. It was a silence that was not empty, but full of a quiet, benevolent presence, a silence that invited one to listen with the heart rather than the ears. And in that listening, to find a deep, resonant peace settling within. And then there was the scent. Oh, the scent of this remarkable place. It was a delicate, sweet fragrance, elusive yet pervasive, as if 1,000 different gentle flowers, each with its own shy perfume, had decided to bloom in perfect, quiet harmony. It was the scent of peace itself, perhaps, or of pure, untroubled thoughts taking on an ethereal aroma, clean and slightly sweet, with an undercurrent of something ancient and reassuring, like the smell of sun-warmed fertile earth after a soft spring shower. It invited a deeper, slower breath, and with each inhalation, a measure of calm seemed to flow inwards, soothing and gentle. The very air, thick with this peaceful glow and delicate scent, felt like a soft caress upon the skin, a comforting, warm embrace that seemed to lift away the merest speck of weariness. It was an atmosphere that encouraged stillness, a slowing of pace, a desire to simply be rather than to do. Each movement felt cushioned. Each moment held a gentle significance. The traveler found their shoulders often held with an unconscious tension, beginning to soften, to release their subtle burdens into this nurturing environment, feeling a lightness they had not realized they were missing. Underfoot, the path was not of stone or gravel, but of something wonderfully yielding and soft, like walking upon countless layers of compacted petals, or perhaps the finest, springiest turf that had known only gentle dew and kind sunlight. Every footstep was hushed, absorbed into this forgiving surface, so that one moved through the gardens with a quietness that matched the profound stillness of the place. It was a path that did not demand attention, but rather supported and guided, leading onwards into the heart of this tranquil haven with an unspoken promise of deeper peace yet to unfold. The traveler paused, taking a slow, deliberate breath, allowing the senses to drink in these first gentle impressions. There was a sense of having left one world with all its intricate complexities and having stepped into another, simpler and kinder, a world woven from the very essence of quietude. A faint smile touched their lips, a natural response to the benign welcome of this extraordinary sanctuary, a feeling of having, at long last, found a place where the soul could rest and be gently mended. The path ahead, dappled with the soft, luminous light, curved invitingly, disappearing behind a stand of plants whose broad, velvety-looking leaves were the color of twilight. There was no hurry, no imperative, but to explore at one's own gentle pace. And so, with a heart eased and senses softly awakened, the traveler moved forward, deeper into the unfolding wonder of the gardens woven from quietude, each step a quiet affirmation of the peace that was beginning to bloom within. Chapter 2. First Blossoms of Calm. As the traveler proceeded along the softly winding path, the unique character of the gardens began to reveal itself in ever more wondrous detail, each new vista a gentle masterpiece of serene artistry. The flora here was unlike anything seen in the ordinary world. These were not plants born of common soil and hurried seasons, but rather living manifestations of tranquility, each one a testament to the quiet magic that permeated this haven. Some resembled clusters of soft, luminous fungi, their caps like gently rounded velvet in shades of pale cream and muted lavender, casting a gentle upward radiance that illuminated the undersides of overhanging leaves, creating an ethereal, softly lit grotto effect. Others were like silken ribbons of the palest colors, rose quartz pink, celadon green, and the softest buttery yellow unfurling from slender stalks with an infinite languid slowness, their movements barely perceptible, yet conveying a profound sense of peaceful, ongoing creation. These ribbon plants seemed to breathe with the gentle pulse of the garden itself, their surfaces shimmering with an inner light, a soft, steady heartbeat of peace that resonated with a quiet joy. The traveler found themselves pausing often, simply to observe these marvels, feeling a sense of childlike wonder at their delicate, unassuming beauty, a beauty that asked for nothing but to be quietly appreciated. Drawn by a subtle shimmer on the air, the traveler came upon a clearing where lay the pool of reflected thoughts. It was not a large pool, but its stillness was absolute, its surface like a polished obsidian mirror, holding not the sky nor the surrounding luminous flora, nor even the traveler's own countenance. Instead, within its depths, soft, swirling colors danced in a slow, hypnotic ballet. Gentle amethysts melted into pale rose, which in turn gave way to the softest cerulean blue, these hues blending and parting like slow, cosmic nebulae. Gazing into this ever-changing mosaic had a profoundly calming effect, as if the pool absorbed any mental restlessness, any lingering disquiet, and returned it as visual peace, a flowing tapestry of pure, serene color. It was here, by the pool's edge, seated upon a smooth, warm stone that felt as if it had been basking in a gentle sun for centuries, that the traveler encountered Pipkin. The groundskeeper was a small, kindly figure, his age impossible to guess, with a face as gentle and weathered as ancient beloved wood, and eyes the color of warm honey, lit with a soft, knowing light. He moved with a quiet, unhurried grace, tending to a nearby cluster of bell-shaped blooms that chimed with the faintest, sweetest notes as his fingers, surprisingly deft and gentle, brushed against them. His smile, when he turned toward the traveler, was as soft as thistledown, a silent expression of welcome that warmed the heart. Without a word, for words seemed almost too coarse a currency in this delicate atmosphere, Pipkin gestured towards a small earthenware pot that sat upon a heated stone, steam rising from its spout in gentle, fragrant wisps. He poured a cup of pale, glowing, liquid lumina leaf brew. The traveler instinctively knew into a simple, handleless cup that felt warm and smooth in their hands. The steam carried a hint of honeyed calm and the subtle, comforting scent of sun-warmed herbs, a fragrance that spoke of simple comforts and profound well-being. Their interaction was one of soft smiles and gentle gestures, a language of shared peacefulness understood without the need for sound. The traveler sipped the brew, its warmth spreading through their chest like a wave of liquid serenity, chasing away the last vestiges of any chill, either of body or spirit. It tasted as it smelled, gently sweet, subtly herbal, profoundly comforting. Pipkin watched with his kind, serene gaze, then turned back to his gentle tending of the chimen blooms, his presence a reassuring and integral part of the garden's inherent peace, as natural and unassuming as the luminous plants themselves. There was no expectation, no demand, only a quiet companionship in this shared moment of tranquility. The traveler sat for a long while by the pool of reflected thoughts, the warm cup cradled in their hands, observing the slow dance of colors in the water and the gentle rhythmic movements of Pipkin as he went about his peaceful tasks. The initial sense of wonder was now accompanied by a burgeoning feeling of deep calm, a sense of having found a sanctuary where the soul could unfurl like the silken ribbon plants, safe and unhurried. The garden was not just a place of external beauty, but a catalyst for inner peace, its very essence seeping into the heart. A soft sigh, almost involuntary, escaped the traveler's lips, not a sigh of sadness, but of profound release, as if a tightly wound spring within them had gently unwound. The blossoms of calm, nurtured by the garden's unique atmosphere and Pipkin's quiet kindness, were beginning to open within their own being, their delicate fragrance mingling with the sweet air of this extraordinary place. The journey into quietude was deepening softly, surely, like roots finding their way into welcoming earth. Chapter 3. The Heart of Stillness. Leaving the pool of reflected thoughts and the gentle company of Pipkin, the traveler felt drawn further into the gardens, as if an invisible thread of pure tranquility was gently tugging them towards an even deeper sanctuary. The path, still soft and yielding beneath their feet, led them through archways formed by gracefully drooping branches laden with pale, glowing fruit, their light casting dappled patterns that shifted with an almost imperceptible slowness. The air here seemed even more hushed, the silence more profound. Yet it was a silence that felt rich and full, like a deep, calming breath held in quiet reverence. Presently, they emerged into a wide, circular clearing, the very heart of the gardens, it seemed, where the quietude was so palpable it felt as if one could reach out and touch its soft, ethereal substance. Dominating this serene space was the weeping willow of shared serenity, a tree of immense age and gentle majesty. Its vast, comforting canopy spread wide, a living dome of peace, and from its branches countless long, slender tendrils descended like strands of spun starlight or the finest pale green silk, brushing the ground with an almost sentient gentleness. These tendrils swayed with an infinitesimal grace, even in the absence of any breeze, creating a so mesmerizing dance of light and shadow. The traveler felt an irresistible invitation to rest beneath this ancient guardian of peace. There were smooth, moss-like cushions of a deep, comforting green at its base, offering a soft welcome. As they settled down, some of the willow's delicate tendrils brushed lightly against their hair and shoulders, a touch as soft as a butterfly's wing. Yet it carried a profound sensation of tranquil connection, It was as if the tree itself was bestowing a blessing of calm, sharing the accumulated serenity of untold ages, a gentle energy flowing from its ancient heart into theirs, dissolving any lingering fragments of unease. The scents in this central part of the gardens were richer, more complex, yet still exquisitely gentle. Here, night-blooming solace flowers, their petals the color of softest cream and pale lilac, opened slowly, releasing their delicate, soothing perfume into the tender air, a fragrance that spoke of deep rest and peaceful dreams. Mingled with this was the uniquely comforting, earthy aroma of undisturbed peace, as if the very soil beneath, nurtured by millennia of quietude, breathed out contentment and a sense of profound, stable well-being. It was a perfume that enveloped the senses like a soft, warm blanket. Sounds here were muted to a mere gentle hum, a collective, soft sigh that seemed to be the garden itself, breathing out its deep, abiding contentment. It was a sound that resonated deep within the chest, a low, harmonious thrumming that seemed to align the body's own rhythms with the slow, steady pulse of the earth. The distant, crystalline chimes of the bell blooms were still faintly audible, but here they were softer, more diffused, like echoes of peace from the garden's outer edges, reminding one of the journey taken to reach this core of stillness. The traveler closed their eyes for a moment, allowing all their senses to absorb the profound tranquility of this place, the soft brushing of the willow's tendrils, the rich, calming scents, the gentle, pervasive hum, all combined to create an experience of utter peace. It felt as if the boundaries between the self and the garden were softly blurring, a sense of oneness emerging, a feeling of being an intrinsic part of this beautiful living stillness. Thoughts, which had already become quiet and slow, now seemed to dissolve almost entirely, replaced by a pure, serene awareness of being. A profound sense of safety and security enveloped the traveler, a feeling of being held and nurtured by the ancient, benevolent spirit of the weeping willow and the garden it watched over. Here, in the heart of stillness, there was nothing to strive for, nothing to achieve, nothing to resist. There was only the present moment, perfect and complete in its profound calm. The traveler felt a gentle warmth spread through their entire being, a comforting sensation that eased every muscle, every nerve, until they felt as light as one of the willow's own delicate tendrils. Time itself seemed to slow, to stretch and soften, losing its usual urgency. Minutes could have been hours, or hours mere moments. It did not matter in this timeless sanctuary. The only measure was the deepening sense of peace, the gradual settling of the spirit into a state of serene equilibrium. The weeping willow of shared serenity stood as a silent, patient guardian, its gentle presence a constant reassurance that all was well, profoundly and enduringly well, in this sacred, quiet heart of the gardens. Chapter 4. Thoughts Adrift on Gentle Air. Beneath the soothing embrace of the weeping willow of shared serenity, the traveler found a small bench, nestled amongst the tree's gentle roots, almost as if it had grown there naturally. It was crafted from a smooth, warm substance they intuitively named dreamwood, for it seemed to hold the pleasant, comforting warmth of 1,000 sunlit afternoons and the quiet essence of peaceful slumber. Running a hand along its polished surface, which felt like cool silk warmed by a gentle fire, they settled onto its comfortable curve, feeling an immediate sense of ease, as if the bench itself were designed to cradle and soothe. From this vantage point, the traveler observed the garden's quiet, unhurried rhythms, a slow, graceful ballet performed for an audience of one, or perhaps for the universe itself. Petals of immense, soft flowers, some the size of dinner plates and the color of a gentle sunrise, slowly unfurled in display of breathtaking, silent grace, revealing intricate inner patterns that seemed to spiral into infinity. There was no sudden bursting into bloom here, only a gradual, dignified unfolding, a testament to the unhurried pace of life within these tranquil walls. Through the still, luminous air, tiny light motes, like miniature lazy stars or benevolent fireflies, drifted in slow, meandering paths, their gentle glow pulsing softly. They seemed to be tiny, condensed particles of the garden's own peaceful energy, moving without apparent purpose other than to add to the enchantment of the scene. Watching their slow, aimless dance was profoundly hypnotic, drawing the mind away from any structured thought and into a state of simple, contented observation, much like watching soft clouds drift across a summer sky. Nearby, a patch of the tall, feathery thought grass swayed in a gentle, hypnotic rhythm, its silken blades moving in slow, wave-like patterns as if stirred by an unseen, tender breath. The movement was incredibly soothing to watch, a visual lullaby that seemed to quieten the very air around it. The traveler recalled Pipkin mentioning with one of his soft smiles that the thought grass absorbed any restless notions and transformed them into gentle motion. And indeed, watching it, one felt any remaining mental chatter simply drift away, becoming part of that serene, silent dance. Thoughts of the outside world with its clamor and its myriad hurries, its demands and its subtle anxieties, had now faded almost completely, like mist in a warm morning sun, or like distant sounds receding until they were no longer heard. They had not been banished forcefully, but had simply lost their relevance, their urgency, in the face of such profound and pervasive peace. In their place was a simple, quiet appreciation for the present beautiful moment, for the soft light, the gentle scents, the silent, graceful movements of the garden. A delightful sensation of lightness began to permeate the traveler's being, as if unseen burdens carried for so long they had become almost a part of them, had simply unclasped themselves and floated away on the tranquil, buoyant air of the gardens. Their shoulders felt lower, their brow smoother, their breath effortlessly slow and deep. A gentle warmth spread through their limbs, not just from the dreamwood bench, but from within, a comforting glow of pure contentment that settled deep in their core. They found themselves simply being without the need to analyze or understand, or without any desire to define or categorize the experience. It was enough to sit, to breathe, to observe, to feel the gentle thrum of peace that was the garden's heartbeat. A soft smile, unbidden, touched their lips, a smile of pure, uncomplicated serenity. The garden asked nothing of them, and in return offered everything the weary spirit might crave: stillness, beauty, and a profound, all-encompassing peace. The weeping willow's tendrils continued their soft, caressing dance around them, a constant, gentle reminder of the garden's nurturing presence. The air remained still, yet vibrant with unseen energies of calm. The traveler felt a sense of belonging, of being perfectly in place, a quiet note in the grand, serene symphony of the gardens woven from quietude. It was a state of being where thoughts, if they arose at all, were like soft clouds drifting through a vast, clear sky, observed with gentle detachment, then allowed to float on by. Chapter 5. Carrying the Quietude. As the timeless interlude within the garden's heart began to subtly shift, not with any abrupt change, but with a gentle lightening of the ambient glow, the traveler sensed the approach of a soft, pearlescent dawn. It was not the familiar dawn of their own world, but one unique to this place, filtering through the leafy canopy in hues of the gentlest rose, pale apricot, and softest lavender, as if the sky itself were blooming with quiet color. This new light brought with it a sense of quiet renewal, a fresh breath of peace that settled over everything like finest dew. The traveler felt profoundly rested, not merely in body, but deep within their spirit, as if every cell had been bathed in the garden's tranquil essence and restored to a state of perfect, quiet harmony. The weariness that had led them to this sanctuary felt like a distant memory, a story from another lifetime. In its place was a calm strength, a quiet resilience, imbued by the hours spent in immersion within this remarkable haven of stillness and gentle magic, though the path now seemed to softly beckon them onwards, indicating that their time within this specific embrace of the gardens was drawing to a gentle close. There was no sense of sadness or loss. Instead, the traveler knew with a quiet, unshakable certainty that a part of the garden's imperturbable peace now resided within them, a precious seed of calm that they would carry and tend in the days to come. The experience was not ending, but transforming, becoming an inner landscape to revisit in memory and spirit. The way leading out, which appeared as subtly as the entrance had, seemed less a departure and more a gentle continuation of the journey, a soft transition back toward the world beyond, but with a new inner compass aligned to tranquility. The air still hummed with that gentle, pervasive peace, and the scents of the lumina flora and the solace blossoms lingered, promising to remain as a fragrant memory, a comforting reminder of the quietude they had found and absorbed. As they passed once more by the pool of reflected thoughts, its surface now shimmered with the soft hues of the garden's dawn, a gentle kaleidoscope of hope and serenity. Pipkin was there, tending to a cluster of new pearly buds with his customary quiet care. He looked up as the traveler approached, and his smile was like a benediction, warm and understanding, conveying a farewell that was also a blessing for the journey ahead. No words were needed. The shared peace of the garden was a language far more eloquent. He offered a small, perfectly smooth seed, warm from his hand, a tiny, tangible piece of the garden's magic to carry forth. With a final, lingering look at the weeping willow of shared serenity, its tendrils still swaying in their timeless, graceful dance, the traveler stepped back through the curtain of softly falling leaves, which rustled a gentle adieu. The transition was as smooth and kind as their arrival, and as they emerged, the ordinary world, when it gradually reasserted itself, seemed subtly changed, or perhaps it was they who had changed, now viewing it through a lens of newfound calm and gentle appreciation. The cherished memory of the soft lights, the tranquil sense, the feeling of profound ease, and the deep, restorative quietude of the gardens, woven from quietude, remained a comforting, unwavering presence. It was a gentle anchor in the flow of time, a reminder that such places of peace exist, not only in hidden corners of the world, but also within the landscape of the heart, ready to be cultivated and revisited. The garden had offered its gift freely, and the traveler carried it with gratitude, a soft exhalation of peace accompanying every step forward. The journey had been one of not of arduous seeking, but of gentle finding, a discovery that true rest comes not from cessation of activity alone, but from an immersion in profound sensory peace. And so, with the garden's quietude woven into the very fabric of their being, the traveler moved onward, carrying not a treasure to be hoarded, but a light to be shared, perhaps, in the simple emanation of their own newfound, gentle calm. The story of the gardens would remain, a soft lullaby for the soul, a promise of rest for all who might seek it.